Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Ground Pass. I don't know, Nick, what round are we covering? Because I don't know where we're at.
Well, at time of recording, it is 10:20 a.m. in New York.
Yeah.
The fourth round has concluded.
Yes.
And we are about to start the quarterfinals, which, like, when we were planning the episode, I ended up having to, like, separate all my quarterfinal hype from everything that's actually happened, because the drama settled down a little bit in rounds 3 and 4. And so, like, stuff still happened and a lot of really cool stuff going on, especially in the doubles.
Yeah.
But I have to say that I was looking at going, oh, there's this quarterfinal and this quarterfinal, and like, no, we need to actually, like, there's some really interesting stuff that happened. I think there was one particular match that we'll go over that you and I were like texting back and forth about.
Yep. So I guess this will be covering round 3 and 4, because we did 1 and 2, so this will be 3 and 4. But yeah, so we'll cover those. We'll get into, kind of what the second week is like at the US Open, and talk a little bit about Ground Pass itself and like where we're at as well. And get into what middle weekend felt like, because it felt a little different this year. And I want to talk about that. And because, the thing where the US Open every single year, they do the thing where it's like, we broke records and we sold this many honeydeuces. So I'm interested to see what they say this year, because I definitely got a different feel this year. And I don't know if it's because they were either less people or they kind of switched around the way they sold the tickets. I'm interested to talk about it, and then we will see what they say at the end of the tournament in terms of record breaking or anything like that. So settle in, grab your coffee. I have mine. I didn't spill it today because I have a lid that's properly sealed. But yeah, so let's get
You've earned your place. Now let the perks prove it. At High Five Casino, the Prestige Loyalty Program delivers real rewards tailored to how you play. Reach icon status and unlock 2 extra sweeps coins and 180 more game coins every day just for logging in. And with every tier upgrade, you can score up to a 50 sweeps coin level up bonus, plus personalized daily harvests that grow as you climb. Log in now and check your Prestige tier. Your next High Five moment is waiting. HighFiveCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. Must be 21 years or older. Terms and conditions apply.
El rugido de los aficionados, el ritmo de las porras, la intensidad en la cancha. Esto es más que solo un partido de fútbol. Con DraftKings Sportsbook, esta es tu oportunidad de convertir cada jugada en una gran ganancia. Descarga la app de DraftKings Sportsbook y usa el código HEART. Ese es el código HEART para que los nuevos usuarios reciban $200 en bonus bets al instante cuando apuestes solo $5. En asociación con DraftKings, la corona es tuya. ¿Problemas con el juego? Llama al 1-800-GAMBLER. En Nueva York, llama al 877-8-HOPE-NY o envía un mensaje de texto con la palabra HOPE-NY al 467-369. En Connecticut, hay ayuda disponible para problemas con el juego. Llama al 888-789-7777 o visita ccpg.org. Juega responsablemente. En nombre de Boot Hill Casino Resort, Kansas. Debe ser mayor de 21 años. La elegibilidad varía según la jurisdicción. No válido en Ontario. Pueden aplicarse cargos en Illinois. Las apuestas de bonos son de un solo uso. La apuesta no se incluye en las ganancias y caducan después de ser otorgadas. La oferta finaliza el 29 de septiembre 2025 a las 11:59 p.m. hora del este. Los términos en DraftKings.com/sportsbook/promos.
into it.
I mean, for those who maybe not watching the video, Anastasia was wearing a white, like, jumper thing. And so that would be the worst outfit to spill coffee on, let's be honest.
Totally the worst. It would be absolutely horrible. But no, everything is secure. So I will not be...
And a waste of coffee, which is the bigger tragedy.
Which would be the mega tragedy. But let's start getting into it. So let's talk about the drama settling. There wasn't much in the third and fourth round, I think. Like, it kind of just simmered down a little bit. Like, we didn't get the sort of, like, smashing of rackets and yelling at people that we got in round 1 and 2.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing for you? Because I wonder whether it's a night... I would say it's nice to have a little bit of calm. Mm-hmm. And there were definitely still some good matches in there. But I know that we we love the drama at Ground Pass, but I think it's not necessarily a bad thing because it was too much or the wrong kind.
Yes. I think I would rather the drama be dramatically fun matches than drama being smashing of rackets and yelling at people, if you know what I mean. So, that's fine from, now and then. It's always nice to sort of have a little bit of excitement or, something to talk about. But I would rather the drama come from epic matches and things like that. So I was it was nice to have things settle down a little bit and have it be less chaotic.
Tell you what, though, we did get an epic match, and I think this seems like the perfect time to segue into that, which was that Louis Armstrong match that you were at and you were texting me from, Barbora Krejčíková and Taylor Townsend, which Krejčíková made it, but only just because Taylor Townsend had match point 8 times. And gosh, I have really conflicted feelings about that because I'm so impressed by what Krejčíková did and the way she kind of dug in and fought back because she went from not playing well to playing great.
Yeah.
But also, I really, really wanted that breakthrough for Taylor. I really wanted that.
Yeah, it was really tough. It was really, really tough because so I was sitting in Armstrong during that second set tiebreak and you can't move. That's a tiebreak. So, and what did that go to? 13 something? What was the
15.
score? 15? Yeah. Let me look. I have the scores up right now, actually. Yes, 15-13. That went to 15, and it got to the point where my legs fell asleep. So I was just like, what is going on? And you're right. Barbora Krejčíková saved 8 match points. And from the beginning of the match, Taylor just seemed so in control of the match. And even into the second, she just seems so in control. But each time Barbora Krejčíková saved a match point, it was almost like with each save, Taylor deflated a little bit and became more quiet. And she's not a quiet person. She's big, she's loud, she's very expressive as a player. So to see her sort of become a bit quiet it just wasn't the way she plays. And a part of me just said, you know what, if she loses this tiebreak, it's almost like she's lost the match. I just didn't see her coming back. And I had watched Barbora Krejčíková, the match between Barbora Krejčíková and Emma Navarro. Emma Navarro was I think she was 3 love up. Was it in the third or the second? She was winning that match. Was it the third?
3.
Yeah. And I was watching it and literally just watched Emma Navarro lose the match. I was like, wow, that's crazy. I didn't even think anything of it. And then in the middle of that second set, as Barbora kept saving those match points, I was like, oh no, it's Emma Navarro all over again. It's literally Emma Navarro all over again. And once she lost that second set, I just thought, it's Barbie K. She's a Grand Slam champion. She does this. And she just dug in. And I think she just was so determined to give it I don't even know if she thought she was going to win it. But what I thought I saw in her was she was going to give every piece of herself. And Taylor was going to have to wrestle it away from her. She was not going to sort of give it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting at the moment, and there's a lot of points there that I want to comment on and lead on to lots of different potential conversations that we could have. Because with Krejčíková, this is not the first time she's done something like this. Both times she's won Grand Slams, she's won an epic match. The Roland Garros, she saved match point against Maria Sakkari in the tiebreak in the third set because they didn't have deciding tiebreaks back then, and she saved a match point against Sakkari and then just completely gritted out a really long third set to win it, and then ended by saying, I always wanted to win a match like this. And I think that's when a lot of the belief kicked in and took her to that first slam. And then her Wimbledon title, she won playing a first round match against Veronika Kudermetova that also went ridiculously long and was also down to, despite neither of them playing particularly well. So it's not unheard of for Krejčíková to do this. that being said, I do think that of those 8 match points that, Taylor Townsend had, Krejčíková saved them. I don't think there was any of them that I felt like Taylor played badly on or could have done much more with. Like,
right.
Was it, I think it was like the 7th or the 8th match point that Krejčíková hit a forehand return and it literally just clipped the corner of the court. And I was just sat there going like,
what?
What can you do? She literally just rolled the dice and went for it on that return. Because I think her belief after saving every single match point went up as well.
Yeah.
Krejčíkova's. So yeah, she does this. I do think Taylor did make as much of a fight as she could. She did break. I think Krejčíková went to break up, and then Taylor broke back, and then
in the
Krejčíková
third.
broke again. In the third, yeah.
And
then Taylor tried to break back again and just couldn't get over the line, and Krejčíková held to win the match. But you could tell her noise levels were going back up. Like Taylor wasn't completely down and out, but I agree with you. Like my read on that match was the same as yours. Like the wind came out of her sails after the tie break, and I really wanted her to win that. But oh well. I mean, the question is like, can Krejčíková do this to 3 Americans in a row because she's got Pegula next?
Yes, and it would be a bit crazy. And I think at least what we know now is the crowd has no impact on Krejčíková, because I cannot explain to you how loud that crowd was for Taylor. Really funny note, because again, I'm obviously not following the TV broadcast. I'm only hearing what's in the stadium that I'm at. And to me, every human was just screaming for Taylor. No one was clapping for Barbora's points. Like it was crazy. But then after the match, when I went on social media, I heard there was apparently one human, a person, who was loudly cheering for Barbie K that came across more on TV. And I was like, really? So it's so fascinating what comes across on TV versus what's in the stadium, which I actually find fascinating. It's happened to me in a couple of matches where I'll see people comment on the TV broadcast versus what I'm experiencing in person, which is very fascinating. I wonder if that's something we talk about later on in the future and stuff, because it was a completely different vibe in person than actually what you got on TV. But it seems to me that for Barbie, like the crowd she's locked in to herself and what she's doing, and the crowd will not really have an impact on it. I'm expecting, well, actually, I mean, we'll talk about this a little bit, but that will definitely be on Ashe. Pegula is the defending finalist. So yeah, that will be a very interesting one.
First match on today.
So today?
That match kicks off the
quarterfinal. Time? There's no...
I know
what time it is.
It's crazy. Like that match starts in an hour, Anastasia, as we're recording this. So we'll find out essentially.
In an hour.
Yeah. But yeah, I know what you mean. Like that TV was interesting seeing, like very overwhelmingly for Taylor, because I felt like watching that TV, like the crowd was much more for Taylor, but Krejčíková was getting a respectful cheers. Like she wasn't getting nothing.
Right, exactly. And it wasn't like, a pin drop silence. She was definitely getting the sort of like, oh, good point, that sort of thing. But I mean, and that's the thing. You can never sort of get that feeling on TV. And it was very similar, which we'll talk about later, the Leylah Fernandez and Venus Williams. Like you physically felt the crowd. Like you felt the cheers, which was like, I don't even know what a player is feeling in that moment when you hear your opponent get that sort of reaction. You almost kind of feel for a player like Mira Andreeva, when you kind of, you're that person and you just, because then you there's a lonely feeling to that, I think, maybe possibly, because it's a physical reaction. Like I was like, wow, this is like, they are for Taylor. It's crazy.
And this is where like your mental attitude as a player really comes into it. Like I've never played with an audience, and I think if they did, they'd walk out after 5 minutes. I think when you hear players talking about it, there generally seem to be 3 options to win in those circumstances, because players who let it get to them lose, like with Andreeva, it's happened a couple of times now. And she's 18, so these are the things that she's got to learn and grow in. But option one is ignore it, shut it out. And, there are players who are able to do that. There's option two, which is a few players have said is, I just imagine they're cheering for me. And I can't remember, I've definitely heard that a few times.
Yes, same.
Different players. I can't remember the name off the top of your head. Or you take the third option, which is the Daniel Medvedev or Alexander Bublik option of just embrace being the villain and lap it up.
Yeah. But no, it was an experience, and Taylor's still in doubles, so it's the tournament is not done for her. She will be playing today, that I know.
Oh my word! I'm so excited to talk about that match in a minute.
Yes, but
yeah, I had a segue in mind for the next, which was
no. You go ahead. You go ahead.
But it's like Barbora Krejčíková. We're talking about the crowds being against her, but at this point, we may as well have a Grand Slam in Prague. This may as well be the Czech Open, because we've got 3 Czechs in the women's quarterfinals, because it's not just Krejčíková. Vondrousova played out of her mind crazy well to beat Elena Rybakina. So I heard. Everything I was reading online saying, Vondrousova played amazing in that match. Even though it went 3, Rybakina had to play her best just to get a set. And then Karolina Muchova getting through and literally maybe pushing herself past the physical limit to do that.
Yeah.
I haven't watched the match, so you did. So you can kind of give me an update on clearly not looking good for her, but she's in the mix too. But she always does well in the US.
Yes, yeah. I'll start with Vondi. I watched Vondrousova's match on replay, and the way she's serving, first of all, she's serving like she's as tall as Rybakina, and she is not. She's not as tall as Rybakina. She's pretty much my height, which is 5'7". But she was serving so well, and she's so fun and crafty. And what I loved about rewatching that match is you're in the United States. It's in a predominantly American audience. You have Elena Rybakina from Kazakhstan and Marketa Vondrousova from Czechia, and they're playing a night session match on Arthur Ashe, and you're thinking, well, this is going to be a dud. How are they going to sell this match? And they didn't have to. Marketa Vondrousova and Rybakina sold that match. I think people left that stadium and thought, now I want to see more of whatever that was, because it was so fun and crafty. And I just feel like those people hadn't seen points like that before. And it was like the female version of Carlos Alcaraz, when you're doing the drop shots and he's running to the net and he's doing all the fun things. They got to see that in Marketa. And I really do hope that they leave that match thinking, let me follow this girl and let me go watch more of her matches, because it was really, really fun to watch. And in the case of Muchova, so I watched the second set and the third half of the second set and all of the third of the Marta Kostyuk and Karolina Muchova match. And I mean, I really don't know how Muchova won that match. I cannot tell you how she won it, because she was on one leg. She was literally...
Again.
Exactly. Not again. But she was literally on one leg, because also she was serving out on my side, because I couldn't really see it when she was on the other side, but I was on the baseline when she was serving out the match and she was on my side. You couldn't see it when she was actually playing the points, but she would be limping to go get the balls from the ball kids. And I was like, how is this possible? How is it? What's going on? And I hope it's just sort of muscle strain, and it's something sort of a day off will help, so it's a little bit better. But I was like, wow. And I think it's it goes to show a bit how skilled she is in sort of placing the ball in places where, Marta Kostyuk just couldn't get to. Her serve was really good, and she could just place the ball in places that would help her out to sort of serve out the match. But man, that last set, I was like, I feel like you could even tell Kostyuk, because at the end she was just shaking her head, because I think she knew. she was like, wow, I'm losing here. She's barely walking. So it was very interesting. It was an interesting watch at the end there, because even the people next to me, they were like, is she limping? I'm like, yeah, she's limping. she's limping her way to the win, but she did get the win, and she was fun to watch for that second. I don't know what happened in between the second and third, but I think maybe she tweaked something. She had tape on her stomach, but again, I don't know what happened.
And this is why I said, oh no, not again, because Karolina Muchova, for those who don't know, always seems to be playing injured. She's always taking a couple of months out regularly with injury. So maybe she's just used to playing with pain and a compromised body and just plays through it because she knows she can play really well. And that's a big reason why she's kind of underachieved in her career, which is crazy to think. She's got one WTA title. She's been to a Grand Slam final once. In fact, if anyone remembers, like, she was a break up in a deciding set against Iga Swiatek at Roland Garros. Like, she's probably in terms of, some people would say Ons Jabeur is the player on tour right now who's become the closest to a Grand Slam because she's been in a final 3 times. But I would say it's actually Karolina Muchova because she was 2 games away from one. So I hope that she feels better. In some ways, I actually hope that she doesn't play against Naomi in the quarters, because I don't want her to just do anything worse and then take her out for the rest of the season, because she's got the final in Beijing points to defend, and she should still be seeded with just like how many points she gets. She always plays well when she plays, but she's always got this physical limit in place. And it's such a shame because she's a bit like Vondrousova. It's just fabulous to watch. She can do anything with a tennis ball. And I just really hope that she does well and that she can recover well, and it's not going to be a major thing with the leg, because that's my kind of main takeaway. But good on her for fighting. I'm not surprised she won, because she's always winning well compromised. I'll tell you what, though, Naomi Osaka, who she's playing, what a story. Wow. Is she back?
I think so. And you know what it is? I've kind of been saying this a bit, and maybe this is one of our kind of like when it's off season and there's no real tennis to talk about and we want to talk about coaching, because there isn't much happening on the grounds. It wasn't yesterday, it was the day before. I was walking around and I was watching some juniors and doubles, and I just stumbled on it because I don't even really look at the practice schedule, but I was walking around and I stumbled. I was like, oh my God, well, that's Naomi Osaka practicing. And it was actually really funny because there wasn't a big crowd. Because usually with these sort of things, like if Naomi Osaka is practicing or Carlos Alcaraz, it's like madness. But it wasn't a big crowd. And her new coach, Thomas, which you say it because you know how to say it. Victorovsky. They were practicing together and it was just so focused. Like, I love when I watch a practice with a player and a coach and team and I know what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes when you just watch practice, it's just like, oh, they're just rallying. They're just like hitting balls and they practice serves and they play points. And you're just like, oh, okay, great. It's like a warm up kind of thing. But with them, you were like, oh, they're practicing specific things. And they were practicing forehand and backhands, but hitting it to specific spots in the court. And I was like, oh, this is really fascinating. And I just watched it for a bit and then left. But it just seems like she's just so focused now, but then also happy to be on court. And she has all her like little labubus and all their little names and all of that stuff. And she's just looking so good right now. And she has this crazy record where, I mean, it's just crazy to think, but she does have this record that if she gets to the quarterfinals, Grand Slam, she's never lost ever, and she just got to the quarterfinals of the current US Open. So that's all I'm gonna say. It's just a record she has. I'm not making any predictions. I'm just stating a record that she has.
Right, especially since like the players she'd have to get through to win another one, like it's a pretty high level quarterfinal lineup, which we'll get to. But I think she's put herself on the shout, and it's interesting you say that she's focused, because that is what I associate Viktorovsky with, because that's what he did for Iga Swiatek when he came on board, was he made her a lot more focused and a lot more dialed in, and that's where she kind of clicked into the success that she had. And she needed that kind of extra level of discipline. I think it's clear Naomi kind of likes having that and likes that influence that Viktorovsky's bringing, but to kind of bring out that confidence and lock in that ability that she knows that she has and clearly is displaying it. Naomi's just making so many waves right now. It's for so many reasons, not just like the way she's playing, because she is playing so well right now, but like it's her outfit. Or what is a labubu?
I don't know what a labubu is.
I don't know. Of the two of us, I thought you'd be the one who'd know.
I wish I knew what a labubu is. It's so weird. It's like it popped out of nowhere, where all of a sudden everyone wanted a labubu. And I'm like, why? Why do we want a labubu? What is a labubu? And my only understanding of it is I think it became popular on TikTok, I think. And it's a stuffed animal,
like us.
sort of, yeah, like everything. I think it is it's like a stuffed animal toy thing. And, and I think that's it. Like, I think it's just a stuffed animal toy and it's popular. And it's a keychain. It's like a thing you hang off of things, like your bag or whatever. Rybakina has had one for a while hanging off of her Wilson bag. Like, a lot of times I'll see photos of her bag and it'll have like, it's this like really cute brown, because it looks like a brown teddy bear. And I was like, oh, that's like a little cute, like brown, like teddy bear, but it's a labubu. But yeah, it's just something that really blew up. And Naomi all throughout she has these sort of like bedazzled ones. So they're special. Like they don't usually all have those sparkly bits on it. And she's named them. I love that it's cute. Like, she's named them after iconic tennis, like historic personalities like Billie Jean King, Arthur Gibson, Arthur Ashe. So I love that she's doing that. But I also just think it's all part of how happy and confident she feels on court. Like, I don't think you're doing that if you're sort of like worried and, sort of like in not a great place. She's doing it because she's having a good time on court. And if, you're having a good time on court, you're playing well, good things can happen. So I think that's great. Yeah.
Well, we can say that about pretty much any player, right? Like, any player's having a good time is going to do that. And we know that when Naomi's won before is when she's been having a good time, or when she's been playing well before anyway.
Yeah.
Like, she's been in a place where she feels like she's having a good time. Unlike Coco Gauff.
Yeah. And you know what? I think with Coco Gauff right now, I think it's all sort of like work in progress. Because I understand.
Exactly.
I think because I got a lot of messages from people actually after this loss, because they were like, what's going on? She just won Roland Garros. And it was kind of very similar to what happened after Wimbledon, where everyone was like, what's going on? And I think people need to understand this is something that's been going on all season. If you're new to following tennis, if you've just started following Coco Gauff or anything like that, she does have this issue with her serve, her forehand technique, and it's something she's trying to fix. And she has hired a team to help her do that. And it's just going to take time. And I think the good thing about Coco Gauff right now is she's already won 2 Grand Slams with her current technique. So just imagine what happens when she fixes all of that. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, I think it's just a work in progress. I think listening to her press conference, she's just so positive about everything, and knowing that she has time. She's only 21 years old. I know she's been on tour forever, but she's only 21 years old, and she totally has the time to make changes. And also, unlike a few players that we're going to talk about in a bit when we move on to the men, she's willing to make those changes. She sees that she needs to make changes in her game and is willing to make those changes and try and be better. So I think the prognosis looking forward for Coco is all good.
We kind of talked about this in the last episode, didn't we? We did our round 1 and 2 lineup. Like, we did talk about it. We talked about the Lost Boys and what happened with them, and Coco being an example of someone who does adjust. And I think, and also we need to have some perspective on this. One, Coco literally decided to start really making an effort on this change the week before the US Open. That was not enough time for that change to take effect. But it's good to see that, like, what she can do beats nearly everyone except the players who are really, really having a good week, like Naomi. Like, this was a far better loss than that Yastremska won at Wimbledon by comparison. Also, let's also put this into context. You're right. She's 21, and most players like develop way beyond what they usually play at 21. Like, Coco's not even at her peak yet. 22 to 25 is generally the peak ages for a player. Maybe you could stretch it into 26. That might be getting a bit longer now because you've got Sabalenka playing at the moment, who's like 28. 27. She was born in 98. 27 coming into being 28 next year. But then the other thing you've got to think about is Coco Gauff's game is currently enough for her to occasionally win a slam. Like, which shouldn't be taken lightly because slams are like the hardest thing to win in tennis. They come around 4 times a year. You have to win 7 matches to do it. You have to beat, she's had to beat the world number, well, Sabalenka wasn't the world number 1 in the US Open 23, but she's had to beat one of the best players of this generation twice, in addition to other big rivals to do it. Occasionally winning a slam is not anything to be like ashamed of. It's just basically, it's taking her from someone who's a bit like a Barbora Krejčíková who might win a slam ever occasionally, or who else was like, I'm trying to think of someone a bit more like recently from back in the day, like an Osaka type who suddenly comes on fire and wins something and then doesn't really keep that going throughout the year, to being a world number 1 who performs at that sort of level week in, week out, like at the best level week in, week out. Because the other thing that's amazing about Coco Gauff is that her worst level is enough to win most matches that she plays against the best in the world. So let's put some perspective here. Like, she's trying to go from someone who will still go down as a great player, even if she never fixed the serve, to someone who can be a like greatest player of an era. And that's like the fine margins we're working with here. And so let's be patient with it. If it never gets fixed, she'll probably win another slam. So it will happen. The question is not, will she have success again? It's how much.
It's that time of year again, back to school season, and Instacart knows that the only thing harder than getting back into the swing of things is getting all the back-to-school supplies, snacks, and essentials you need. So here's your reminder to make your life a little easier this season. Shop favorites from Staples, Best Buy, and Costco, all delivered through Instacart, so that you can get some time back and do whatever it is that you need to get your life back on track. Instacart, we're here.
El rugido de los aficionados, el ritmo de las porras, la intensidad en la cancha. Esto es más que solo un partido de fútbol. Con DraftKings Sportsbook, esta es tu oportunidad de convertir cada jugada en una gran ganancia. Descarga la app de DraftKings Sportsbook y usa el código HEART. Ese es el código HEART para que los nuevos usuarios reciban $200 en bonus bets al instante cuando apuestes solo $5. En asociación con DraftKings, la corona es tuya. ¿Problemas con el juego? Llama al 1-800-GAMBLER. En Nueva York, llama al 877-8-HOPE-NY o envía un mensaje de texto con la palabra HOPE-NY al 467-369. En Connecticut, hay ayuda disponible para problemas con el juego. Llama al 888-789-7777 o visita ccpg.org. Juega responsablemente. En nombre de Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. Debe ser mayor de 21 años. La elegibilidad varía según la jurisdicción. No válido en Ontario. Pueden aplicarse cargos en Illinois. Las apuestas de bonos son de un solo uso. La apuesta no se incluye en las ganancias y caducan después de ser otorgadas. La oferta finaliza el 29 de septiembre 2025 a las 11:59 p.m. hora del este. Los términos en DraftKings.com/sportsbook/promos.
Yeah, no, totally. Well said. But let's jump to the men, because you know who's also having success right now and like just crushing it out of seemingly nowhere, but I don't think it's nowhere? Felix Auger-Aliassime. Wow,
Felix. Yeah. Like, honestly, like nobody was giving him much chance because like he had a great start to the year and then faded. and like just sort of went back to being a bit anonymous and getting a couple of wins here and there. And then it's just clicked this US Open because he's beat Zverev, which was a big win because like, oh gosh, I was talking to a couple of people from kind of that we know from the depths of the tennis fandom. And they were not giving him a chance against Zverev. And I was like, are you sure? Like, Zverev could be a bit hot and cold. Like, let's not rule out Felix here. I was a bit surprised. Well, I don't say that, but I thought that. And I was like, surprised that they were like just ruling him out so quick. And then when he beat Zverev, I was like, yeah, he's probably going to beat Andre then. And he did. And it was convincing. Yeah. So, yeah. Felix is looking good right now, and he is definitely probably for me, the biggest story of the men's side. I don't know about you. Have you caught any of his matches?
Yes. So things actually started happening for me and Felix, I think. Like when I kind of saw a switch was when he played Billie Harris. It was on Stadium 17, and he actually wasn't playing great. Billie Harris was like doing Billie Harris things, and Felix just was not playing well. And I think it was the second set he won, and his reaction to winning was crazy. Like it was such a visceral, just from your insides scream. And I don't remember if I got it on video, but I definitely got some photos of it, but you can't really get it was so, I don't know, like there was just a moment and I was like, wow, like this really meant something to him. And I was like, he's playing a match against Billie Harris. No offense to Billie Harris, but I don't think that should have elicited that. But I just thought, something's going on here. So I made it a point to see his match against Zverev, and Zverev won the first set, but Felix was playing well. Second set, went to a tiebreak, and Felix won. And I just had a feeling. I was like, you know what? This is going to be a grind. This is going to be a 5-setter, and Felix is not going to let this one go. Like, he is going to grind it to the end. So I was like, I'm going to go home because it was a night match. It was the second one. It was late. I was like, I'm going home. I don't want to be here till midnight. I'll watch the rest, on my phone on my way home. Well, it was 4 sets and Felix won the rest of the match. And I just was like, wow, he is so locked in right now. He was playing so well. Like, it was crazy. And I thought he might have a chance here against Andre. I was not as convinced as you that he would win the match against Andre, only because I had also watched Andre's match against Coleman Wong. Now, Coleman Wong was awesome. Like, Coleman Wong was so great, but Andre was also really good in that too. So I thought, what could happen? Anything
Can I just throw out there, by the way, that Rublev Coleman Wong 5-setter was definitely the best men's match of round 3 and 4. Like, it was so good, and it was so good to see. Like, I really thought Coleman could win that, and it was only a couple of errors that really held him back and stopped him from winning that match, because he was in that 5th set, at least to start with, and it was really great to see them go head to head with each other, and it did feel like it could go either way. So that Rublev Coleman Wong match was so good, and I can see why you would say that based on how Rublev did, and he kind of came through his kind of boiling over moments, because he did do that a couple of times. So I can see why you'd be optimistic after that. But I don't know. There was something about, I thought Felix looked better by comparison.
Yeah. I thought, and my thing with it was, I thought, okay, he's got through this tough 5-setter. He did have those moments, but he was able to rein it in. And I was like, okay, this might be that test that he needed. And he's going to go into the Felix match a little bit better. No, right from the beginning, he reverted right back to form. And I was in Louis Armstrong, not on Ashe, which we'll talk about Ashe and why that's not a great ticket. I was listening to it, and right from the first set, they were just talking about how he was so down on himself. And I was just like, you can't revert right back to form. the first chance you get. He lost it from the beginning. But Felix still played well, because you still have to play well against Rublev. Even when he's being down on himself and, he's doing his thing, you still have to play well against Rublev. And Felix did. And it's really nice to see him playing back at, I think, the level everyone expected him to play for so many years. And now he's finally bringing it back.
Yeah, and he did it once before. He got to the US Open in 21.
Yeah, it's just been so long.
It's been too long. And he was having such a good season, 21, 22. And I think he's just had a couple of fallow years, but hopefully this is I don't know. I'm not holding too much hope about Felix's consistently showing it, but I think he's going to be difficult to kind of say, to kind of rule out. So I think he's probably the biggest story from the men's side, other than the Lost Boys story, which I know you want to talk about, has kind of developed a little bit because, we talked a bit about it because when we last recorded, we'd lost most of them. And then we lost the last couple of them in the last round. So you're talking Zverev losing to Felix. I don't know if Andre counts because technically he did make second week. He's in fourth round.
No,
but...
Andre, I don't think Andre really counts. For me, it's just Medvedev, Tsitsipas, and Zverev. And, there isn't really much to say at this point. I think good news, I guess. I don't know if you would say it's good news. I guess the update you can say is Medvedev has switched out his team. He got rid of his coach and I think his fitness trainer as well. So he is going to be getting a new team. So maybe that is a sign of him maybe wanting to figure something out. But yeah, I think for me at this point, until I see some measurable change, there isn't really much to say, really. Yeah.
You know who might have something to say? Well, who did have something to say was Bublik after losing pretty badly to Jannik Sinner. He beats Tommy Paul in an epic 5-setter. Okay, that could match Rublev Wong as the best match of round 3 and 4, but I didn't see it. And also the scorelines got a bit wobbly at points, whereas I felt like with Rublev Wong, it kind of was a bit tighter. But yeah, he beats Bublik in a late night match. Bublik beats Tommy Paul in a late night match. And then it loses to Jannik Sinner, who he has beaten this year, won insane levels of dominance from Jannik Sinner. And, I think, and he kind of comes away with, is Jannik Sinner enhanced by AI? That was his comment. That was literally what Alexander Bublik asked. And the thing is, if you're going to ask that about any player, is Jannik Sinner, because he does have that sense of superhuman about him from time to time. And usually happens after he has a little bit of a scare, like he did with Denis Shapovalov, where he lost the first set and he was down a break in the third. And there was how much trouble is Sinner in right now? And then he's just switched it on and then dismissed Bublik, a bit like what happened with Dimitrov at Wimbledon. So, yeah, Sinner seems to have broken out Superman mode again.
Yeah. I'll ask you this, and then I kind of want to tie it to Ashe in general, especially yesterday. But do you think, though, because I kind of watched a bit of this match, I watched it on the big screen. Bublik, for me, kind of does this, where I'm not sure how much effort he was putting in that match the moment he started losing. Because, and I think it might be sort of this joking around thing he does might be a protective mechanism for him in terms of oh my God, Sinner is an AI. He's so good. Obviously I lost 6, 1-1-1. Because I was watching the match and I'm why are you laughing? He was just laughing through the whole thing. And I don't know. People paid a lot of money for those tickets and, it just seemed like a dud of a match. And you know what was actually crazy? Because I didn't expect this, but I was watching Sinner's press afterwards and a reporter actually asked him that. A reporter asked him, what do you think about Bublik's effort in the match? And Sinner tried to be as diplomatic as possible. Saying stuff he probably just had a bad day or, you never know what's going on in a player's life or whatever. But I don't know. I don't know what you think about it. But I don't know that Bublik was giving full, complete effort in that match.
It wouldn't surprise me with Bublik. I mean, we talked about Rublev reverting to type. Like, Bublik has looked locked in. Like, he was locked in over the summer. He was picking up loads of results. And at the end of the day, that probably takes a lot of focus. And sometimes, you just do revert to type. And I don't know. I think maybe he he wasn't going to win the match. Sinner is just that good. And Bublik said that before when Sinner was a lot younger as well. Like when he played, Sinner was like a 19, 20-year-old. I'm like, good grief, this kid's insane. I think it was in Miami in 2021 when Sinner reached the final for the first time at a big tournament, lost to Hurkacz. Remember Hurkacz? But yeah, he's...
wow.
Yeah. I guess, with Bublik, it's difficult to really know. He's super unpredictable, but that's part of the fun with him. Yeah. And like Sinner did make the point of like, he did have a late finish against Tommy Paul and probably wouldn't get to bed until 5, 6 a.m. So that's probably going to impact his prep. And against Sinner, you can't go in cold. Yeah. There's a lot of things. I think Sinner's answer was a bit more than diplomatic, but I think there was a lot of truth to it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Let's see what Bublik is like the rest of the season and whether he's locked in again. But, you say people paid a lot of money for Ashe. They might have paid a little bit too much for what they get.
A little bit too much. I was, because I posted about this today and someone actually asked me, they were like, wait, what do you mean? And so yesterday specifically, if you wanted to get a ticket for Ashe, so there's a day session and a night session. The night session was more expensive, but let's take the day session, for example. You got 2 straight set matches. The Felix and Rublev one straight sets, and then the Coco Naomi one straight sets. Nosebleed seats, so the seats in the 300 level, nosebleeds, were going for about $500 to $600. And that's what you got. Same thing in the night session, which was even more. So you were getting $600, $700. So you got Sinner and Bublik. And then you got Amanda Anisimova, and who was she? Beatrice Haddad-Mayer. 2 straight set matches. Even, I think Amanda Anisimova and Beatrice Haddad-Mayer, I think that was 6-love, 6-3? Yes. 6-love, 6-3. Yeah. I think that's what it was. So those are for the nosebleed seats. You go lower and you're paying thousands of dollars minimum. Thousands of dollars. And I'm just sort of like, why are you paying that when you could watch that on TV? And I was comparing it to a ground pass, which for a ground pass yesterday, it was kind of like around 154, like in that 150 range yesterday. And I watched Iga Swiatek, I watched Venus Williams, I didn't watch the Lorenzo Musetti match, but then I watched, who else did I watch on Louis? I watched de Minaur on Louis. Then I went over and I watched Karolina Mukova and Marta Kostyuk on Grandstand. I watched Tracy and Cash, that doubles, and with the Italians, Bolelli and Vavasori on Grandstand as well. I watched Taylor and Siniakova on Grandstand. All of those matches I watched for way less than what you paid for Ashe, And after your day session on Ashe, you could obviously, I think right after the Naomi match, which was the second match on, you could have caught the end of the Mukova match and then gone to watch part of the Venus Williams and Caroline Garcia match. So, not Caroline Garcia, and Leila Fernandez match. So you would have gotten some of those matches too, but still I paid less. So it's just, I don't see how that's worth it. It's just not worth it. I watched a bit of the Coco match on the TV outside of Ashe as I was walking back and forth and stuff like that. So it's just tough for me to justify tickets in Ashe. I get it. What a lot of people do, it's I always tell people, if it's your first time ever going to the US Open, I completely understand. If you can get standard tickets, which unfortunately that's the bad part. To get standard tickets at Ashe is so hard because the resellers get it so quickly. But if you're able to get standard tickets on Ashe and it's your first time ever at the US Open and you just want to experience what that size of a stadium is like, go for it. But otherwise, there's so much. There's a better deal elsewhere. There is a better deal elsewhere. Even better, go to Fan Week and experience Ashe for free and see the stars even closer. And then
Well, it depends
go else.
Depending what it is you're going to see, because it's a practice,
Yeah.
it's free. If you're going to go watch the mixed doubles, it's not. Or if you're going to go
It's
watch
not, exactly. Or Stars of the Open or like whatever, it's not free. But if you just want to see like Carlos Alcaraz up close, just go watch him practice.
Can I ask a couple of questions, Anastasia? Because this will kind of help with your point, hopefully. Question number one is, when you buy an Ashe night session ticket,
yes,
do you only get tennis or do you get anything else?
You only get because so the night session on Ashe starts at 7 p.m. You are allowed on the grounds at 6 p.m. So only an hour before.
So really, like, it's actually not that great a deal. It's just the prestige of being there. It's like, you know, you are in the biggest tennis stadium in the world and you're paying for the privilege of it.
You get to see Novak Djokovic from very far away. Okay. He's this big.
I'm going to give you a seemingly random figure here.
Okay.
What kind of ticket can you get at the US Open for $468 or around that mark?
$468. Like one ticket or multiple tickets?
Yeah, just if you're going to spend $468, and I appreciate it's a very specific figure, I will give you a reason why.
Okay. So $468
get you at the US Open.
Should it be one ticket or multiple tickets?
Let's go with one.
For one ticket at $468, the best ticket you can get?
Yeah.
The best ticket you can get is courtside Louis Armstrong. I would do that.
Okay. At any particular day? Or
I would first week. So you would be able to get first week courtside Louis Armstrong for that amount of money. Yeah, you could get that. Okay. Yeah.
Right. So there is a reason why I pulled that number out.
Yeah, why?
There's a little bit of, those of you watching the video would be like, why is Nick looking at his phone? He should be professional looking at a podcast and recording a podcast. $468.85, which is the same as £350 sterling, which is how much it costs for a Wimbledon finals ticket. Just to put it into perspective. To kind of highlight, because you've done a fantastic video on the pricing of Ashe, which is out on our socials. We've kind of made this point of like, you know, the numbers you've given are just crazy for what is just like middle weekend or even early week tickets. Like if you, and the US Open has priced it so that like it costs the same to just go to Louis Armstrong during a day session as it would to go to the Wimbledon final, either Wimbledon final there. So you are clearly in deep dismay right now. I don't know if it's quite at the level of it's actually cheaper for you to fly to England and go to Wimbledon, but
there's no way for the men's final last year. Nosebleed seats were like I remember for Novak when he played Medvedev, they were like close to $800. Like that's crazy. So I could have bought like 3 or 2 Wimbledon finals tickets.
Yeah, I mean, they're very hard to get hold of, but yeah.
But yes, but you know, yeah.
It's one of those things like, annoyingly, US Open tickets are really easy to get hold of, but stupidly expensive.
Yeah.
Wimbledon tickets are actually really priced, but hard to get hold of.
Yeah. And it's like, pick your poison.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like Wimbledon finals tickets, like you can get in the ballot. And that's the only way you can really get them because they don't no, you can get them on resale. And yet again, the price doesn't change because Wimbledon doesn't use Ticketmaster. You have to go direct through the site.
Right.
And I, having done Wimbledon resales before, I remember looking and I was like, well, the men's final sold out, but I've got tickets, but I could get resale tickets for the women's final.
Right. Yeah.
And I never did, but it was doable. So, but I will always throw that Wimbledon comparison out, partly because it's the next most recognizable tournament to our audience after the US Open.
Yeah.
And partly because it's my experience. But just to kind of, my experience and what I know about, because I haven't checked the French or the Australian, but I just wanted to kind of put it out there, what you were talking about with what you're buying with Ashe. Like, yeah, you buy Wimbledon tickets, you could be
So
paying a
literally
lot
for
less.
what some people paid yesterday for those matches yesterday for one of the sessions, they could have bought final tickets to Wimbledon to go see Carlos
if he was
Alcaraz and
successful in
Jannik
that.
Sinner play at Wimbledon
Mm-hmm.
finals. Yay. Okay, moving on.
Bubba Wallace here with Tyler Reddick. You know what's more nerve-wracking than waiting for qualifying results?
Waiting for the green flag to drop.
Instead of pacing, you rev up with Chumba Casino's weekly new releases.
It's like a fresh set of tires for your brain.
Play for free at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
Moving on. Very quickly though, one other thing about ticket experience that like you put out a post on social media about this, and I like on the Ground Pass socials, and I was like, this sounds interesting because you had this experience with, we've mentioned Wimbledon and how much we love queuing there.
Oh, right.
The virtual queue going to Louis Armstrong, and I was fascinated by this idea. Like, how did that work?
This
that seems to be a new thing.
This is actually a good thing. Like, this was actually awesome. So I think last year I was talking about this a lot so once Louis Armstrong gets to capacity for the general admission section, a line forms. And last year it was so chaotic. The line was just so long. So this year what they did, there was a virtual queue. So there was a QR code, and you would scan the QR code, fill out your information, so your name and your phone number, and they would send you a text message and say, you're in the virtual queue. We will text you back when it's your turn. Feel free to go roam the grounds. And I was like, oh, all right. So then I went around, and I went to go get something to drink, and I was like walking around. I walked to the fountain, and I was watching, I can't remember what match was going on at the time, but I was watching something, and literally right as I got to the fountain and I started watching, I got the text message and it said, it's your turn. So I went back to Louis. I showed the attendant the text message, and they were like, okay, great. And I walked right in. And that was that. It was a 20-minute process. And I thought, well, this is so much more comfortable and better than standing in line, especially if the line like snakes all around the grounds and it's like you're bumping into people and it just, because I could go do other things. So I actually liked the virtual queue a lot. What I will say is it wasn't as clear in the beginning what you had to do. When I tried to just walk straight into Louis, and an attendant was like, oh, you need to go, scan that QR code and do that. So I did. But on my way back, I bumped into a few people who were just like standing in the line to get in, and they were turned away because they're like, no, you have to do this virtual queue thing first. And there was just some So I think for some people, it wasn't as clear what they had to do. So I don't know if it's sort of like make it a bigger sign. I don't know. Or maybe put the QR code right in front of the entrance of Louis and not like send people to the side. Yeah, one of those two things, but I liked it. I thought it was definitely a bit more, instead of just standing there, because then I could just go do things, for that 20-minute period versus just waiting in line.
Interesting. Yeah, it's just this idea. I think, I don't know if any other tournaments are planning on doing this, but I think this is a really, really good idea that should get more invested in. And I think fundamentally, if they can make clear how it works, keep it for Ashe, for Louis, heck, Wimbledon. Look at it, because that could be really useful, I think, for like keeping the queue going into the 21st century, because we love it there. I don't know how they do it, because like you're working with a lot more space.
Right. So maybe even if you're not camping out, you can maybe camp out virtually in some way.
Like, yeah, that's making it virtual. There's going to be a lot of investment and development. It's not going to be something we're going to see in the next 5 years, but
yeah.
I think that's something that's worth looking at. But even beyond that, like, I think if I was going to the US Open and I could just use an app and get into a queue to see if I can get into Louis, great. Yeah, that Louis Armstrong, that sounds pretty cool. So I wanted to kind of ask about that before we kind of wrapped up. So we're at about an hour now recording.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so but I do want to talk. I do want to make sure doubles, and I also just want to like, we need to talk about the doubles because
We have
that's
to.
just kicking off in big ways. So I'll start with you, Anastasia. Which doubles... I know what the answer is. Because there's only one doubles team that anyone's talking about right now. And that's Venus Williams and Leila Fernandez. And I mean, like... I would we put this at a different part of the schedule to talk about on the podcast, like a bit later as a quarterfinals preview, because they're playing Katerina Siniakova and Taylor Townsend, and I'm like, for me, that's match of the day. But they, like, even up to this point, they've been the story of the tournament.
But Nick, I thought you were going to talk about the Marcus Willis.
The Marcus Willis. Yes, he's the other option.
Marcus Willis is in the doubles. That's the story.
He is. Did we not talk about him last episode? Or we definitely talked about him at one point. But he's still worth talking about because he's still in the tournament. And that's great. Like, he's in the fourth round. He's playing today, I think, with
yes.
Trevette.
So I'm kind of joking, but not really joking, because yes, totally, Leila Fernandez and Venus Williams are the doubles story of this tournament. They have brought, I think, so much joy to the crowds that have watched them on Louis Armstrong this whole time. Like, it's been really, really great. And we will talk about that in a little bit, but I feel like we should use this section just to talk about, I could not believe it when I stumbled onto Court 7 and Marcus Willis was playing doubles at the US Open. I've never seen him play in real life. We've talked about him on the podcast before, but we haven't actually talked about him at this tournament, but I just stumbled on it. And I was like, oh my God, that's Marcus Willis. That's the Pepsi guy. It's the Pepsi and it's like, well, was it Coke or Mars bar or whatever he was eating on court? I can't remember. But it's like, it was so cool. And he's still in the tournament. Like, I don't know why people are not talking about this. He's still in the tournament, guys. He's still playing. So it's really nice to see. If you don't know the story, we've talked about the story before. He had a really cool run at Wimbledon that was ended by Roger Federer, but it was such a great moment. I will put the link to the episode of the podcast where we talked about it in. And yeah, feel free to go back and listen to that. We've also had some crazy upsets in the doubles already. We had one yesterday.
Yeah, was that Hayevar and Patton going out?
Oh, yeah. Wow. You know what? Wow. We've had so many, actually, because that's not the one I was talking about.
Down, like, we've had a lot of upsets in the doubles. Like, I looked at the fourth round and I was like, where have all the seeds gone?
Yeah. I was actually talking about the one with Cash and Tracy. They took out the 7th seed, Bolelli and Vavasori. That happened yesterday. That's the one I was talking about. But also, yes, Patton and Hayevar are out. Harrison and King are out. Yeah, a lot of seeds are out in the doubles for sure. But let us get into the matches that we are looking forward to in the quarterfinals. So this isn't a 2-hour-long episode.
Yeah.
And I can get this out today for sure. But there's a lot. Let's start with, you know what? Okay. Let's actually start with this because I think we need to sort of talk about this a little bit. But Taylor Fritz is playing Novak Djokovic tonight.
Yeah. And for me, that's the best. That is the match of the men's quarterfinals.
Yes, for sure. And Taylor Fritz is the last American man standing. And nobody gives Taylor Fritz his due. Okay? Nobody talks about Taylor Fritz. All we do is talk about Ben Shelton and Tommy Paul and Francis Tiafoe. And yet Taylor Fritz is the highest ranked American. He is the one always winning the titles. He always gets to the tour finals. And we just don't talk about him. And I just feel like he's due something. Like, he got to the finals of the US Open last year. And yet he just doesn't get his due.
No, he doesn't. Like, so many people seem to be handing this win to Novak, and I don't think that's going to be simple. And yeah, all right, they've played 10 times and Novak's won all of them. That's why. But Taylor's better than he was.
Yeah.
And he's got through this draw pretty well. Novak's old now. Like, how long is this going to continue for? I think Taylor's going to get at least a set in this match. Yeah. And it's going to be a big night on Ashe between those two. That is tonight's night session, I believe. So, yeah, I think Taylor's a lot more confident. He's got the game to take it to Novak, at least make it tiebreaks. Like I watched him at the tour finals, ATP finals. I think it was 2022, I want to say, where he pushed Novak in the semi-final. Like that's 2.5 years ago. There's more to come from Taylor Fritz. So let's not rule anything out. This is why it's the biggest match of the day, I think, because I genuinely don't know which way it's going to go. Like Sinner against Musetti on a hard court, kind of know which way that's going to go. No disrespect to Lorenzo. Carlos Alcaraz against Jiri Lehečka. Again, Lehečka is someone who can bother Alcaraz, but I think I know which way that's going to go. Felix against de Minaur is interesting because obviously we're going to get an underdog semi-finalist, but I kind of know which way that. I kind of think I know which way that one's going to go. Actually, Felix, by the way.
Yeah.
So for this one, it's like I'm not settled on which way this is going to go. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun, and I think Taylor Fritz might be about to prove a point.
Yeah. What's your big stat for the women's quarterfinalists?
Yeah, so this was shared because I was actually I remember, so I woke up and saw what happened, and it was like no surprise to me that Anastasia won. That was the last result we were waiting for to complete it. Like Anastasia's been really, really good. And I was like, okay, when was the last time that every single women's major quarterfinalist had been to at least one Grand Slam final in their careers?
When was that?
And then I found it out almost immediately because our friend Mario tweeted it.
Oh.
So Wimbledon 1981 was the last time that all 8 Grand Slam quarterfinalists have reached a Grand Slam final in their career, and up to that point. So obviously I haven't looked up who they were. That was, I believe, Chris Evert won that year, just off the top of my head. Beat Hannah Mandakova in the final. But
how is that just off the top of your head, Nick? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So that's the big stat, and like the women's quarterfinals are where it's at because oh my word, you're going to get really good matches all the way through. The only one with a question mark about is Osaka Mukova because Mukova might be hurt. That one might not even happen. You never know. So that's where we're at with that. But yeah, they're just all like big names, and like what's also exciting is it's basically made up of 5 people who had kind of results over the course of the year that made you think that they could do at the US Open, the obvious ones being Sabalenka, Swiatek. And then recently kind of Osaka, Anisimova, Pegula is always good at the US. So that was not a surprise that she's here. And then 3 Czech wildcards who always seem to play well when they're fit because the Czechs just create really brilliant players who get injured a lot and they've all decided to play well at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just so pumped for this quarterfinal lineup for the women's. If I was going to pick one I'm most excited for, it's actually Anisimova Swiatek because I'm kind of interested to see which way that Wimbledon final rematch goes. And Anisimova, they're both playing really well. Yeah. Okay, Iga had a bit of a wobble, but then she just dismissed Alexandrova, locked in. Anisimova's looked kind of locked in. Does think Anisimova, it's not going to be 6-love again, guys.
No,
it's just not.
No, it's just not going to be. No. It's not going to be that, but it's going to be very interesting. Yesterday, I posted to her socials because I hadn't really looked at the schedule until I got to the grounds, and I thought, wow, the women's matches that we had yesterday were just incredible. And I posted, everyone watches women's tennis, and even this quarterfinal lineup and the stat that you just stated, it's just like women's tennis is where it's at right now. And if you're not watching women's tennis, what are you doing? Because it's epic. It's just really, really great right now. We should make a t-shirt and just say everyone watches women's tennis. Yay.
Is that going to be the next one on our merch line?
Yeah, probably. Someone posted that because I posted that, the women's lineup yesterday was so great and, everyone watches women's tennis, and someone replied that should be the next t-shirt in our merch line. So I thought, let me think about it. Also, you put here as well the women's doubles lineup is super stacked. And of course, the match of the day.
Yeah. So obviously we talked about that. Fernandez-Williams against Siniakova-Townsend, or it might be the other way around because Siniakova-Townsend at the top seed. Mm-hmm. So like, even if you didn't want to even if you just want to go with that, like that's going to be an amazing match because the crowd's going to be so noisy. And like, I don't know how much of a dream it is for Taylor Townsend to play Venus Williams, but I think it would be for any American. But like, Kudermetova and Mertens against Andreeva Schneider, yes.
Yes.
Babos Stefani against Dabrowski-Routliffe, yes. Mohamed Shurs against Irani Paolini, yes. I think that draw held up so well. Plus, Fernandez-Williams is this amazing wildcard team that would not be crazy if they won. The women's doubles tour is just amazing right now, and like this quarterfinal lineup, and they're all on about the same time. They're all happening today.
Yeah,
that's just what I'm going to be watching.
So I'm going to repeat myself. If you're not watching women's tennis, what are you doing? What exactly are you doing? We're going to end on that note because, again, what are you doing? Thanks for joining us on this beautiful episode of Ground Pass. Please go watch women's tennis. Like and subscribe wherever you're watching us. We're on YouTube. And, oh my goodness, Nick, I don't know. Well, I think you saw it probably on social media. We hit 1,000. We're over 1,000. Yay, we did it.
But 1.2, isn't it?
Yeah, like I think we're on 1.2 now. It's been crazy. Thank you everyone for liking and subscribing. Thank you. We see you. Thank you. Please give us a 5-star rating on the podcast listener of your choice. We will see you after the quarterfinals for our quarterfinal roundup. We can't wait. There's some great matches and we're looking forward to seeing what the results are. Bye, guys.
El rugido de los aficionados, el ritmo de las porras, la intensidad en la cancha. Esto es más que solo un partido de fútbol. Con DraftKings Sportsbook, esta es tu oportunidad de convertir cada jugada en una gran ganancia. Descarga la app de DraftKings Sportsbook y usa el código HEART. Ese es el código HEART para que los nuevos usuarios reciban $200 en bonus bets al instante cuando apuestes solo $5. En asociación con DraftKings, la corona es tuya. ¿Problemas con el juego? Llama al 1-800-GAMBLER. En Nueva York, llama al 877-8-HOPE-NY o envía un mensaje de texto con la palabra HOPE-NY al 467-369. En Connecticut, hay ayuda disponible para problemas con el juego. Llama al 888-789-7777 o visita ccpg.org. Juega responsablemente. En nombre de Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. Debe ser mayor de 21 años. La elegibilidad varía según la jurisdicción. No válido en Ontario. Pueden aplicarse cargos en Illinois. Las apuestas de bonos son de un solo uso. La apuesta no se incluye en las ganancias y caducan después de ser otorgadas. La oferta finaliza el 29 de septiembre 2025 a las 11:59 p.m. hora del este. Los términos en DraftKings.com/sportsbook/promos.
Summer's heating up, and so is the action with Chumba Casino and 23XI Racing. Whether you're trackside with Bubba, Riley, and Tyler, or cooling off at home, the fun never stops at Chumba Casino, the online social casino packed with free-to-play games like slots, blackjack, and more. Jump into summer at ChumbaCasino.com and score your free welcome bonus. 2 million free gold coins and 2 free sweeps coins. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.